welcome to virtual yoga. And this is an experiment for all of us. So today's practice will be focusing on opening the heart, because in this time when we might be needing more energy and more openness in our chest, it's good to remember that the body can do that for us. So we'll also be doing some forward folds, which tend to calm the spirits. So the other thing you should know is that there is a dog in the room who sometimes participates in yoga. So if you see a small black dog named Gordy, who most of you know, don't be surprised. Right. So we're going to begin in Virasana. And and if you can't bend your knees in Virasana, then just have your legs outstretched in Dandasana. So let's begin to build our pose and press our thumb into our heel, our fingertips into the ball mounds of the feet. And right now, press down, press the shins down, and lift the front body up. So you lift from the pubic bone to the sternum, which is right in front of your heart. At the same time, draw the shoulder blades back and into the spine to support your cardiac spine right behind your heart. And then maintain that lift as we bring our hands to our thighs and just draw attention to our breath and close our eyes. And you don't have to make any adjustments, just witness your breath. And you might even witness any thoughts. And just try to return to the breathing. Draw your attention to the front of your body and how your body naturally moves in an inhale and an exhale. And then draw your attention to the back body, which we often forget because it's out of sight and out of mind. But notice the natural movements of breathing in your back body. Let's bring our hands together at our heart and use the thumbs lifting into the sternum to remember to lift the heart. And in gratitude for the chance to practice together, whether we're virtually practicing or just practicing on our own and thinking of each other. And in gratitude for the beautiful spring and the practice of yoga. Let's begin with 3 Ohms, and you might hear a howling dog. So take a nice breath. So lower the hands and open your eyes and bring your arms out with the pinkies up, and that way you'll be opening your chest. Inhale, lift up, reach up, lengthen the spine by sticking the fingertips on the ceiling in a nice V shape. And exhale back down. And we'll do that again. So arms out, pinkies up. Inhale, lift. If you're ever feeling really droopy and you do this, it lifts your spirits. Lift up your eyes to where the ceiling and the wall meet, and then exhale back down. And now we're going to twist, so inhale, lift. Exhale, turn to your left. Inhale, lift the top arm, and then just lower it. Now inhale, lift both arms, and exhale, turn to the other side. Just stay here. Now inhale, lift up through the crown of the head, press your shins down, and on exhale, turn the shoulders any amount. Inhale, lift up, and exhale, turn to the other side. You can use the back of your palm against your knee to help you lift up any further. And inhale, lift. That helps you open the chest. Exhale, turn the ribs any amount to the back. And then inhale, lift up. And we'll turn to the other side. So inhale, lift. And exhale, turn any amount. And then inhale, lift up. And exhale, lower. Now inhale, lift the left arm. And the elbow, lift the top of the elbow. Opening the chest nicely by lifting up the elbow. And then lower that down. And now reach it out, palm back. Bend the elbow and thread it somehow up toward the middle of your spine. If it doesn't, if the shoulders say no, then listen to them. If the shoulders say maybe, you might try a little harder. And then relax that. And then lift the other arm. Reach up, lengthen that side. And then bend the elbow. And lift the front of the elbow up. Try not to push the neck forward. And then lower down. And palm back. Bend it. And then thread it up somewhere near the back. Even if you're just holding the outer elbows, it's opening the chest. That's the whole idea here. And the shoulders help to open the chest. And then relax that. Put your hands on top of your shoulders, and we're just going to give them a little juicing up here. So we'll roll them slowly forward 3 times-ish. And then pausing at the bottom, and then we're going to reverse and try to make those full circles with the elbows, describing these little circles. One more. All right, and now we're going to try to go Mukhasana arms on both sides. So start with the left arm, reach the other arm out, and then reach it forward, up. And then release that. And then lift the other up. For us, it's morning. You might be looser at the end of the day, so just pay attention that you want a stretch but not pain in any joint. And know that any amount is still opening. And then relax that. We'll do it once more on each side. We want to shake them out a little in between. That might help. And then lift this. Bend it. Other arm out, and they can either wave or maybe meet, and then relax that. And one more time on this side, right arm up, enhance the lift. You can enhance either side, whichever side needs more help, the bottom or the top. Third arm, but I don't have one. And then relax that down, shake them out. Come forward for a moment on all fours and stretch your left leg back to open the knees. If you've been sitting in Dandasana, you can just do whatever feels good. Stretch the other leg back to open the knee. And then we'll come back to sitting just a couple more stretches. So now interlace the thumbs, spread the fingers out, and then reach up and draw the upper arms, the lower arms. I guess they are your upper arms, but they're near your ears. The ones near your ears, draw them in closer to your ears and lift the fingers up. And then relax that down. And then interlace the thumbs the other way Lift up, reach up. Now draw the arms in closer to the ears. Lift the lower abs in and up all the way to the sternum. Don't poke your ribs out if possible. And then lower down. And then we're going to do one more opening. So hands to your waist, right? Lift the front body, and then interlace the fingers at the sacrum. Now reach back, and if you're not too far from the floor, you can press in toward the floor and just lift the sternum up. Draw the shoulder blades in toward the spine, and then come on back up. And then we'll do that one more time. So even now, elbows are going back and you're opening this chest. We spend a lot of time leaning over things lately, especially with Zoom calls and everything. Now interlace your hands at your sacrum. Right? Lift the front body, reach back, and then lift the heart a little more. And if it feels all right, reach all the way back, press the fingers into the floor or a block behind you and lift up. And then relax that. Come forward. We're going to stretch our knees out. You can move any props you had. And we'll stretch the left leg back. Open the knee. Stretch the right leg back. Come to all fours. All right. Stretch the left leg back. And then lift it up by lifting the inner thigh up. And then reach the right opposite arm forward. Now lift lower abs up to the heart. Reach, reach, reach. And keep looking down between where your hands would be now. Lower them down. All right, so the back of the neck is long. All right, reach the right leg back. Lift it up by lifting the inner thigh, but it's only going up as high as the other hip. Okay, it's not going beyond that. Now reach the opposite arm forward. Lift the lower abs. Back of the neck is long. And then lower that down. We'll do that once more at least on each side. Stretch the left leg back. Reach the opposite arm forward. Really reach it back and have the foot in Tadasana. So the heel is reaching out, the toes are pointing down toward the floor, and the toes are spread apart. You'll get more action that way. And then lower down. Reach the other leg back. Lift it up. Now try that same idea of reaching the heel back, toes are pointing down and toes spread apart, and reach the other arm forward. Spread your fingers out too and really reach. And lower down. I think we have one more on this side. And if not, it's okay, we'll get a bonus. So lift your left leg, reach the opposite arm forward. And then lower down. So bring the knees apart. Settle back to child's pose and reach the arms forward and just feel a nice stretch now. Really reach the arms forward, but draw the elbows and the heads of the arm bones back into the sockets. So it's kind of like stretching a rubber band. Lower the hips as much as you can. And then come on back up. And we're going to have downward facing dog. So spread your palms out toward the edge of the mat. Curl the toes under. And inhale and exhale up to downward facing dog. And since this is possibly the first downward dog of the day, just pedal out your feet if that feels good. It's also a good stretch for your calves. Let the back of your neck be long and relaxed. And then come into a downward dog and really grow your dog by pressing the hands down. Take the energy up through your elbows and your shoulders and back to your hips. And then lower the heels toward the floor if you haven't explored that yet.
And then walk the hands and the feet together, bending the knees as needed. And lift up to Ardha Uttanasana, using the shins. The crown of the head should be extending long toward the other wall, and then fold over to Uttanasana. Just let gravity do its job, pulling you down toward the mat, but keep the legs engaged. So even now, press the heels down, lift the toes slightly, spread them out, and then put them back down on the floor. So the legs stay active. And then step on back to downward facing dog. So lift the hips up high first. Extend the arms and then lower the heels. Move the inner thighs back. Move both sides of the ankles back. And breathing is always helpful. And then walk the feet and the hands together. Lift up to Ardha Uttanasana. So the shoulder blades are coming in toward the spine. The back isn't rounding up. So draw the shoulder blades down into that cardiac spine area, supporting the heart. And then fold over into Uttanasana. And then remember to lift the kneecaps, keep the legs engaged, but let the upper body just relax over. Then bend the knees, look forward, and lift all the way up.
Okay. Right, so let's think about some stretches that might be helpful, right? So come into Tadasana, which is always kind of fun to build, since we don't go around all day in Tadasana. It would be difficult. But, so we're just going to stand regularly, and then we're going to build it from the ground up. So think about pressing your heels down first. Open the toes up. They may not open much, but just that action. Actually, place your hands on your thighs. Relax again. Let's build it again. Press the heels down, lift the toes, and see how the thighs are engaging. Now place your hands on your belly and your back. And lift the lower abs up. And there's kind of like, if you thought of this as a bowl, the belly as a bowl, it might be sloshing some water off the front now. So lift it up so you keep all the goodies in there. All right, and then the shoulders are going to just roll up and back a little to expand the collarbones and give the chest more room. And you're drawing a little bit of energy in toward the spine between the shoulder blades. The head is just resting on top. All right, so then Urdhva Hastasana, lift the arms, reach up. Now encircle the wrist, use your left hand to encircle the right, and then just lean over. Try to keep the hips where they are at this point. And then come back up right, and then encircle the other wrist, and then stretch over. And then come on back up right, lower the hands. And now lift up. Circle, reach over, now look down at your feet, look forward, bend the knees, reach a little further over, now straighten up but try to stay there. Now release the hands, bend the knees, swing down, around, stand up. And you feel like you're doing a dance. All right, lift up, Urdhva Hastasana. And circle your left wrist with your right. Now bend over. Now look down at your feet. Look forward. Bend the knees. Bend a little further. Straighten the knees, but try to keep the bend as much as possible. And then bend the knees, swing around, and come back up. We'll do that once more. Lift up. So, wrist as you bend to your left. Down. Keep the legs in Tadasana. Look forward. Bend the knees. Stretch a little further over, opening the ribs. And then straighten up. Release the hands. Gently come down, around, and back up. And once more on the other side. Inhale, lift up. Wrist, bending, opening the ribs, more room, down, forget the legs, look forward, bend the knees, a little more bend maybe, keep the bend there as you straighten, and then release. I'm going to adjust my own thermostat here.
Thank you.
A little bit warm. Okay. So we're going to do Surya Namaskar. So have a blanket for your knee. It's always good to remember we are honoring the light. This pose is named after the god of light, Surya, in the Hindu tradition. All right, move back a little bit. Stay on camera. Okay. Come to the front of the mat. Inhale and exhale over the hands. Inhale, lift up, reach up. Exhale to fold forward. Uttanasana. Inhale, lift. Ardha Uttanasana. Crown of the head reaches forward. Shoulder blades in toward the cardiac spine. Exhale, fold. Uttanasana. Bend the knees, place the hands, and step your left leg back and lower the knee. You can also step both legs back if that helps. And then come up to your thigh, press down to the thigh to lift the lower abs up. And then lift the arms, reach up, lower the right hand and reach the left forward into a prayer twist. So try to bring the back shoulder toward an imaginary wall. And then lower back down, straighten the back leg. Bring both knees down and meet in downward facing dog or just step back. Extend the dog. Shift the weight forward to plank. And back to downward facing dog. Shift the weight forward to plank again. Move the inner arms forward, outer arms back. And now, knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga will meet on the floor. Forehead down, hands by your side. Press the pubic bone down, engage the legs, and then lift to Shalabhasana. Arms reach back, feet reach back, crown of the head reaches forward. And exhale back down. Hands by the chest, curl the toes under. Press back up, downward facing dog.
And then step or hop your feet forward, and we'll meet in Uttanasana. And then lift to Ardha Uttanasana. Crown of the head reaching forward. Now bend the knees deeply. We're going to lift up to Utkatasana, powerful pose. So keep the upper body lifted. Settle your hips back slightly. And then inhale all the way up. And exhale. We'll start again. At the front of the mat. Inhale and exhale over the hands. Inhale, press the feet down, reach the hands up. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees, step your right leg back and lower the knee. And come up to your thigh, lifting the lower abs and then lift all the way up. Drop the left hand down, reach the right arm forward and come into prayer twist. And then come back to the floor. And you can bring both knees down or straighten the back leg and step back to downward facing dog. Bring the feet together. Lift the left leg straight back. Reach it back and feel a nice line of energy from your hands through your inner heel. Lower that down. This time stretch the opposite leg back. Probably your right leg. Once again, really reach out through that inner heel. And then lower down. Bring the feet hip width apart. Shift the weight forward to plank. And now press back to downward facing dog. Shift again to plank. And then knees, chest, chin, or lower down chaturanga. Once again, hands by the sides, palms down to open the shoulders. Now this time, press your pivot bone down. Lift the upper body slightly. Now lift from the lower abs up to lift the upper body a little more and reach the hands and the feet back in Shavasana. We're looking down at the front of the mat. Sometimes we forget to use our abs in this pose. And then exhale back down. Hands by the chest, curl the toes under, press on up, downward facing dog. Really lengthen back in this nice downward dog. And then look forward and either walk or hop your feet towards your hands. Fold over to Uttanasana. Really relax the hip crease, but keep the legs lively. Then lift to Ardha Uttanasana. Draw the top of the shoulders back toward the waist in case they sunk down. Lift them up from the floor. And then bend the knees, look forward, lift up to Utkatasana, powerful pose. Straighten the arms if they've gotten limp, and then lift all the way up. And exhale. All right, so let's we'll have a slightly shorter Surya Namaskar. Some is better than none. And we'll remove our blankets or whatever you're padding your knees with. And then we're going to do Parsva with some blocks. So this is a nice standing forward fold that you will remember once we get into it. Okay. So starting at the front of your mat, with your toes near the front of your two blocks, step your left foot back. Organize the hips so that you're drawing the back hip forward and the front hip back. But now
press out through the outer edge of the back heel to bring some more lift to the back thigh. Remember, the back we forget, so we're going to lift from the inner back thigh as if it could go back behind you. All right, the big toes of the front foot, lift them up to engage the front leg even more. Hands on the waist. Now, lift that pubic bone up to the sternum. Think about drawing the shoulders back so that you have a nice support behind your heart, and then reach the heart forward. Keep reaching. We're going to come parallel to the floor as we have the blocks under us. Okay, now use the blocks to help you remember to lift the shoulders up and move them slightly back toward your waist. So if you look at me, which we don't normally lift our head in this, but you don't want your shoulders to be here like around your ears. You want them to be away from each other and back. And then take your blocks. You can lower them down, move them forward any, and if it feels even better to come to the floor, that's fine and dandy. So keep moving the energy through the outer edge of the back foot and the big toe mound of the front foot. Keep the heart lifted though, we're not rounding over yet. And then find the blocks, move them back by your foot, come up on your fingertips. Now with the strength of your lower abs, lift up and you be mindful of your knees. You might want to micro bend your knees as you come up. And then step forward. We'll do that on the other side. So if your blocks are lower, you might want to set them higher. All right, step your right leg back. Place your left hand in your left thigh crease and pull it back. See how that comes back nicely. And then the other hip probably automatically came forward. But you might be on the inside edge of your back foot. So draw the energy to the outside edge to keep that back leg engaged. Hands on the waist. All right, now this time we're going to lift the heart and look up where the ceiling and the wall meet. Draw the shoulder blades in toward the spine. Keep that nice lift of the heart and then reach the heart forward. Hands on the blocks. Okay, use the blocks to help you remember the shoulders are back and back toward the waist. The heart is opening, the collarbones are open. And then move the blocks forward and lengthen the spine as you do in down dog. But the heart is still lifted. You can come off the blocks if that feels good. And then bring the blocks back. Move in the front leg, hands at the waist, and stand up. Step together. Okay, so this time if you want, we're going to invite, you can just do that same thing we just did, or you can bring your hands into reverse namaskar, Paschimma Namaskar, and use the hands to support your back and remember to lift your heart. Right, so that's an option if you would like it. You can also, if you want to try just holding onto your elbows, lifting the heart, that's another option. Okay. So, we'll stand at the front of our mat. And let's step into the pose first. So step the left leg back. Organize the hips. Okay. And then decide where you want your hands to go, if you want to hold the elbows or if you want reverse namaskar, Paschimma Namaskar. Okay, now wherever you are, remember the legs. Okay, you're drawing the front leg back and the back hip slightly forward, but the energy is going through the ball mound of the front foot, the outer edge of the back foot. Now using the hands to remind you, lift the front body, reach the heart up, lift the sternum and look at where the wall and the ceiling meet, and then send your heart out. Reach, 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 reach and extend. First, we're just going to be looking down at the floor, extending the crown of the head. So use your legs to help support you, as well as your lower abs lifting up. And then, if it's comfortable for you, you can round over the front leg, just letting the body drape. Once again, you can still be using blocks. And then reaching out to the outer edge of the front foot, the big toe mat of the front foot, lift up and step forward. Relax the arms a moment. And you can decide how you want to do the second side. All right. So let's get our feet organized. That's a better idea. Okay, so organizing the hips first. Well, we still have the use of all of our hands. So you can pull that front hip back. Now, place your hand on the back buttocks of your right leg. Reach out through the outer edge of the back foot and see if that engages your buttocks. Maybe that's the point. To have a good support. Arms out if you're doing reverse namaskar, or you can hold your elbows, or you can just use your blocks. All right, so as we're in the pose, lift the front body up, look at where the ceiling and the wall meet, and then reach the heart forward. Reach, reach, reach. We're going to suspend ourselves, use the strength of the legs, the lifted lower abdomen, and then release over the front leg, either moving your blocks forward or just relaxing the upper body as we do in Uttanasana. Legs are still very engaged. And then to come out of the pose, lift up from the lower abs, up over the sternum, and step forward. Very good. Okay. All right, we're going to have a mini Uttanasana here. So have your legs wide, hands on the waist, then hinging forward, and then just hinge all the way down. Let the arms go, let the head go. Just relax down. Nice wide leg Uttanasana. And then bend the knees, bring your hands to your waist, and bringing your head up last, just roll up one vertebra at a time. All right. So now we're gonna do Virabhadrasana 1, and then we're going to have some more fun. All right. So first, Vira 1. Have a chair near you. What we're going to do is we're going to move from Vira 1. I'm going to show it this way. Okay. I'm going to show the options. Okay. We're going to do Virabhadrasana 1, which I think everybody's familiar with. Then, once we do Virabhadrasana 1, at some point, we're going to move into Virabhadrasana 3. Remember, you have a chair option. We're trying to keep our hip points facing the floor, our legs engaged. Or you have, from Vira 1, right, you have a block option. You can use blocks. Or you have Virabhadrasana 1 to Virabhadrasana 3. You have your own arms reaching back, and it's always nice to have a block nearby as a safety valve. Okay? Okay, so let's first enjoy Virabhadrasana 1, and then I'll move the chair back, and use whatever size blocks you want. Okay, so we're going to face the front of the room, and then step, if you're using blocks for later, they'll still be there. You can step your right leg back, organize the hips, and then we're going to bend the front leg into Virabhadrasana 1 position. Now still move the energy to the outside edge of the back foot. Draw this hip back into the hip socket. Lift the arms, reach up. Lift up, lift the lower abs so that most of the support comes with the upper back, rounding in slightly. And then look forward, hands on the waist, and step forward. All right, and now step your left leg back. Okay, organize your hips. All right, same energy. Reach out for the ball mound to the front foot, even lift the toes. And lower the toes, keep the liveliness. Reach out through the outer edge of the back foot. Liven that back leg. Now bend the front knee toward a right angle, keeping the hips organized. And now lifting all the way from here, all the way up through the hands. Reach up, look up if you'd like. And look forward. On the waist. That's another great pose. If you're feeling droopy, do a couple of those, you'll probably perk up a little. Okay, you might step back with the other foot. Organize the hips and come into Virabhadrasana 1 legs. Keep the heart lifting. All right, and now lift all the way up. Virabhadrasana. Forward and step forward. And step the other leg back. Left leg, organize the hips. Heart lifting, bend the front knee. And lift the arms forward and up. Reach up, lengthen up, and look up. And then look forward. Hands on the waist and step forward. Okay, so now however you're planning on doing Virabhadrasana 3, you can prepare for that. I'll demonstrate it with the chair first, which I think is pretty self-explanatory, and the blocks are there. Okay, so if you're using blocks or a chair, stand near them and step your left leg back. Organize your hips. We're going to go to Virabhadrasana 1 first. So make sure the back hip is coming forward. Front hip is drawing back. Hands at the waist, heart lifted. And bend the front knee into Virabhadrasana 1 and lift up. Reach up. And then to move into Virabhadrasana 2, keep the front leg bent. Shift the weight forward to the front leg. Start lifting the back leg as you start straightening the front leg. Wherever you are, reach through the crown of the head. Reach out strongly through the inner heel of the lifted back leg and look down at the floor. And then to come out of the pose, bend the front knee, lower back to Virabhadrasana 1. And then look forward, hands to the waist and step forward. Another side. Step the right leg back. Organize the hips. And bend the front knee into Virabhadrasana 1. Lift the arms. And then to move into Vira 3, keep the front leg bent while you shift the weight to it. And then lift the back leg. Try to keep both hip points pointing toward the floor. And really reach out through the extended back leg and the crown of the head. And then come out of the pose. Bend the front knee, lower the back leg, come back to Virabhadrasana 1. And then step forward. And now do it again on the other side. You can decide to experiment if you would like. or stick with your happiness. Bend the front knee, Virabhadrasana 1, be in Virabhadrasana 1. And then move into Virabhadrasana 3, Warrior 3. And then go back to Virabhadrasana 1. And then look forward and step forward. And now step back to organize the hips. Bend the knee into Virabhadrasana 1. Lift up. And then step forward. And then bend the front leg. Return. And then step forward. All right, so we're going to do tree pose because the trees are in their best. And if you need a wall, or you have it, if you had a chair, just as a security blanket, you can have that. So let's find a tree that we're happy to see. And turn our right leg out. And really find a nice stability on the standing leg. Place the foot. Even if your pants are slippery, if you really press in with the outer hip and the foot into the femur, you'll get some traction. And feel a line of energy going out from the groin and around the knee and back in to this hip. And then build your pose. Lift up. And lower down. So even if the lower foot only goes to here or to here, everybody's got different knee things going on, you can still practice the balance, the great balancing effect of this pose. So it's not about where your foot goes. All right, so turn the left foot out and place the foot. Squeeze. And then grow your pose. Down you go. And then turn the foot out. Okay, so let's everybody have a blanket nearby. We're going to do Malasana, which is what all the Indians do all the time, and that's why they have such great ability to, I don't know, it's really supportive of actually your whole lower pelvic region. So, all right, so we may not need it for the start, but you might. So start with your feet hip width apart, right? And then bend the knees. I'm going to come all the way down with your hands together and your elbows, your inner elbows next to your inner knees, and just squat. All right, so press the knees into the elbows and the elbows into the knees, and try to keep your feet on the floor. That may happen. Lift your Mula Bandha. That means lift the lower pelvic region up as you lift your lower abs. And then place the hands on the floor and press on up. And if, like me, your feet turned out, that's okay. It's just the way some of our hips are. Okay, we're going to bring our feet together, and this is where you might want to step up on the mat. All right. So let's go into Tadasana, Urdhva Hastasana. Now, come down, bring the hands into prayer position, and then find where you are and press the knees and elbows together to lift the Mula Bandha any amount. And then come on down, straighten the legs, and come on up. All right. Another way to kind of stretch that sacrum out, which is what that pose does. Like a lot of the forward poses we were doing are putting the sacrum in toward itself. So that kind of helped open it up. You can also find the edge of a sink and just squat and pull on the sink. And that's a nice thing to do too. So, especially if your lower back hurts while you're washing your hands and dishes so much. Okay, so let's come on down to the floor, and you can either keep your mats that way, since I'm going to turn my mat this way. We're going to do a wide leg pose and some stretches. And you might want a blanket under your seat, or you might just want the floor. You'll find out as you go into the pose. So first we're going to come to Dandasana, sage pose. Okay. So place the fingertips behind you and the thumbs facing forward. Have your feet reaching out in Tadasana. Tadasana feet means the heels are reaching strongly forward, the toes are lifting up and back toward your face a little bit. And lift the lower abs in and up. Shoulders are opening. And then we're going to reach our arms forward. Try to keep that same lift you just experienced. And up. This pose is always more intense than you think it would be. And then exhale back down. Now find the inner knee of your left leg. Bend the knee and just stretch it out. Bend the other leg and stretch it out. And at this point, some of you might want to pull out from the support. All right, so let's just turn toward our right knee. Reach the arms up and hinge forward toward the toes. Keep the toes lifted, keep the upper body lifted. We're not folding over. Just grab a hold of whatever part of your leg or foot you got to. And just keep the upper body lifted. So this is a nice twisting action. It's okay if your opposite sitting bone is now seeing some air, but try to lower it down. And then lift back up to Urdhva Hastasana. And then turn toward the other side and reach forward, hinging at the hip crease, keeping the heart lifted.
Sink the other hip down any amount. It's always good to breathe. And then lift back up. And turn the other way. Reach forward, reach, reach, reach. You might get further than you did before. And then this time, after the reaching, especially on your left side here, then just fold over the knee and let the head drop down. And then come on back up, lift up. Lift the arms into Urdhva Hastasana and then reach, reach, reach. See where you go. And then fold over. And then lift up. And we'll try that once more on each side. So reaching forward. Extend the heart. Extend, lengthening those sides we stretched earlier. And then fold over. And then lift back up. And then turn to the other side. Reach, reach, reach. And fold over. And then come on back upright. Now, we're going to turn toward your left foot, but lengthen out with the right arm and just lower it down. If the elbow goes all the way to the floor, reaching up with the other arm and just lengthening over. Once again, try to sink the opposite sitting bone down a little. It's going to rise up a little. And then come on back up, look forward, turn to face the right leg, slide the left arm down the left leg. If you can grab a toe, fine. If not, any part will work. Lift the top arm up and stretch it over. And then come on back upright. Turn toward your left leg. Reach the right arm down. Slide it down the inside of the leg. Lift the arm up. And then up we go. Turn other way. Pressing the back of the palm into the leg to help the turn. Slide down, other arm comes up and reaches over, opening the heart still. We're not collapsing forward. And then come on back upright. Have a blanket and maybe some blocks in front of you. We're going to do a forward fold, and I want you to be able to support your head if it, by chance, it doesn't hit the floor. Okay, so whatever, you'll see what props you need soon. All right, so once again, place your fingertips behind you, lift the front body up, and then reach the heart forward, and you can use your fingertips to crawl forward. And then you can lower your head down. You can fiddle around with your support, and you can reach the hands out now toward your toes. Sometimes it helps to reach behind you and grab the flesh under your sitting bones to settle you a little closer to the floor. you slowly press yourself up. All right, I'm going to show you a couple of ways of doing this next part. If you have a bolster in your collection, this is a great thing to use. And if not, I'll show you some options. So if you don't have a bolster, you can place a block for your head, a slightly lower block for your upper back. We're going to come into, and if you have a bolster, put the bolster behind. Your bolster will be in a similar fashion. The head being slightly higher, you're going to want a blanket. And some people want to fold that blanket twice. All right. So we're going to be sitting either a fist size in front of the block or a fist size in front of the bolster, this distance. Bring your feet together. You can also have a couple of blocks for under your thighs, which is comfortable. And then you're going to place your hands behind your hips, lift the front body, and settle back down on your bolster or your blocks. This block actually should go long ways to support your spine. And if there's any adjustments for comfort, the block should be up more near your chest support. Feels good, actually. And then we're just going to do Shavasana in this fashion. Right, so. Bring your attention to your breathing. And without effort, deepen your inhalations and your exhalations. And then to come out of the pose, bring your knees together. And using your right arm to support you, just gently roll off whatever supports you're on and rest on your right side.
your way slowly into sitting, keeping your eyes downcast, in the meet and prayer position on whatever support you would like. So let's make an offering of the benefits of our practice, that all beings without exception will move further from fear and closer to love, and that all beings without exception will make their way back to their heart's true home. So let's end our practice with 3 ohms together. So take a nice breath. So let's bow the intelligence of the mind to the wisdom and the constancy of the heart. Namaste. So thank you for this first adventure in virtual yoga with Heart at Rest Yoga, and hope we can continue to do this.
I did hear that Zoom has